Hey there YouTube, Heir of Carthage here. I'm going to bring you a 2v2 on the Hida Mountains map. You can see my teammate is AA Shogun. That would be Hannibal Bonaparte from YouTube, for those of you who might know him. I'll put a link to his channel on the video and in the description in case you're interested. You can see our opponents there as well. You can see the layout of this map is going to be some rolling features, nothing too sharp, and it does have forest, like lines of forest throughout the map, in case players are wanting to do some hidden work. Now let me show you Apache's new decor. There he is, right there. But let us focus first on the side of Hannibal Bonaparte, and the discussion topic that I would like to throw in here for this video is going to be how to attack in waves and what kind of benefits come from attacking in waves. And why I've become such a firm believer in it recently, as you might have noticed from my rush army videos. But regardless of whether you have a rush army, attacking in waves can be quite good. So at this point we're focusing on Hannibal Bonaparte's army. I may just call him Shogun or AA Shogun, Hannibal Bonaparte, whatever, it's all the same person. He's got 2 units of Yari Cav, heading up a contingent of 4 Katana Cavalry. This is a wave tactic in and of itself, the first wave being the devastating charge of his extremely veteran Yari units, followed up by the meat grinding ability of the Katana. You can see that he's got behind them 3 units of bow samurai, 1 unit of very high chevroned warrior monks, Yari Ashigaru, and then 4 units of Katana samurai with good upgrades. His general is right here. You may see that it has 36 men strong. For those of you not familiar with it, this means that the general is a melee general. And there's his avatar right here. His name is the Daimyo. Let's go take a look at Hannibal Bonaparte's opponent, with whom he's already engaged. Right here, 3 Yari cavalry of his opponent just bit the dust. Like I said, the wave fashion that his cavalry was set up in, even though the waves were right behind each other, absolutely wiped out the enemy cav, which was definitely already inferior. And here you're going to see again the power of Katana cavalry at work. Now Hannibal Bonaparte did peel off 1 unit of Katana cavalry and went straight at his general, or his opponent is Warhodes, or something like that. Anyway, he's already lost 7 men from his general unit, which is also a melee avatar. And that just kind of shows you the power of Katana Cav to be able to bypass all those men and still get 7 kills on an extremely tough bodyguard unit. And here, there's a difference between attacking in waves and attacking in a disorganized, piecemeal fashion. Some of you might be saying, well, his opponent's attacking in waves here. The first wave was these Naginata units, followed up by these Katana units. But really, the mistake that his opponent is making here is committing his men not in an organized wave, but really just a piecemeal fashion, right into the waiting arms of one of Hannibal Bonaparte's very tough units, which was his Naginata monks. And these guys are just sitting here getting torn up. His cavalry is doing hammer and anvil, just completely wasting these guys. While standing in the background, Hannibal Bonaparte has 4 units of Katana samurai who are just now going to be committed to the fight. So after all that fighting, and after having committed all those troops, now Warhodes is going to be faced with fresh Katana troops. This is not what you want to see, and on a real battlefield especially you wouldn't want to see this as well. And that is your troops being, having to fight non-stop while the enemy has fresh reinforcements. Definitely not what you want, and these Katana samurai are going to make easy work of the remnants of Warhode's troops. Some of the dangerous units of Warhode's army, though, are these bow warrior monks who are in the background, and these guys can cause some serious damage, and that's of course what Warhodes is using them for. So here you can see his bow warrior monks firing. Yeah, so definitely is smart for Warhodes to use these guys in such a manner, trying to salvage the battle by pouring on fire from a distance. The problem with these expensive bow units is that if you don't do the damage with them the right way, that they end up just being a very expensive liability. Because if your opponent's infantry manages to break through your own, then it's not going to be long before they catch your missile units. They won't be able to skirmish away. They don't run away nearly as fast as they do in Rome Total War. And it just won't work out. Now some of you may be saying, Air, what's happening on your side of the battle? Well, you'll get to see what happens on my side of the battle, all in good time. But I figured you might like some of this brutal fighting. So let's zoom up on that. Here's the Katana Samurai of Hannibal Bonaparte, finishing cutting on through the Katana Samurai of Warhodes. I believe there was a Katana hero, and there you can see the writhing fallen soldiers of the battle. Quite epic. I love the epic cinematics of Shogun 2. I think that's part of what makes it such an amazing game. You can see that some of Shogun's cavalry is still alive even after all this time. That's that Katana cavalry. Like I said, there's a large power behind the Katana cavalry. Very tough units, very good morale, and they have the ability to stay in a fight for quite a long time, as opposed to Yari Cav, who are very good on the charge. At this point, Warhode's army is pretty much in full retreat, and he's just running away his bows. So yeah, that's pretty much the state of affairs for Warhodes. So you can see that Hannibal Bonaparte, he had a reserve system here. His cavalry ran the front of the army. They were able to start the initial engagement. Then he followed up the initial engagement with his spear and naginata units, and then finally followed up with his katana units. And that's how he kind of approached this in a wave fashion. And what that does is it gives you fresh men to commit to the fight at just the right moment. But again, you don't want to accidentally use this strategy wrong and then end up being just you committing troops to a fight piecemeal, because that is not a good way to do the fight. So in any case, hope you learned something from this side of the battle. As I said, this was a 2v2 though. I wanted to show you Hannibal Bonaparte's side of things. And I'm going to go ahead and stop recording this time, and we'll go back to the beginning of the battle, and we'll show you the battle on my side against my opponent. Alright, so here we are back on my side of the battle. You can see my troops moving up here. Got my sweet Uesegi colored Mon there. And my troops should be in that color unless they're veteran units. So pretty nice. So there you can see my troops running past. And of course Patchy bringing up the rear there. Let me explain my army here. I have a cavalry component out to my left flank. I have one unit of Yari cavalry, no upgrades. And then I have 3 units of single chevron katana cavalry. Here they are. Some of them have slightly different color schemes. And I'm running in pretty much the same formation that Hannibal Bonaparte is. You'll see quite a few people running in this type of formation. I discovered it for myself just not that long back, but I was definitely probably not the inventor thereof. So my front wave consists of Naginata Samurai, and these guys do not have any chevrons. And then my second wave is Warrior Monks. I have 4 of these guys. Now their statistics have been nerfed after the patch, and what I mean by that, for those of you who may not be familiar, is that their attack stats have been dropped, and probably a couple of other stats, but I know their attack stats have been dropped, so these guys are still very good defensive troops, but they're not just going to plow right through armies like they may have in the past. Still very vulnerable to missiles though, but they still do have excellent morale, and also excellent melee defense skill. The Naginata Samurai are the most heavily armored unit as far as just default units go, so they're very much resistant to missiles, but they are slow moving, but they do have good solid defense, decent morale, so just decent all-around troop, decent versus cav, decent versus infantry, decent versus missiles. So a very well-rounded troop. I brought 2 Ashigaru in the front ranks, and these guys' job once again is to die for Patchy. And you can see them doing that. There they go. And they're very, very good at their job, might I add. Not only do they die for Patchy, they make it look good. I mean, I think half of YouTube after watching this will wish that they got a chance to die for Patchy. I'm just kidding. Alright, so I got my cav running up through the forest. That'll provide them a little bit of archer cover fire if they need it. And again, you can see my men running in waves. And I'm going to go ahead and put it into slow motion. And let me explain my strategy real quick, because this is going to happen really fast. What I saw in my opponent's army here is he has a bunch of katana units in the center, and then he has Naginata units on the flank. He has one hidden here in the woods. He has superior Bonians to me. He has 2 units of experienced bow warrior monks. Here comes his Naginata Samurai and his Naginata warrior monks. He sees me going right for his center, which is his katana troops, and he probably thinks, yes, I have this guy. I'm going to trap his katana cavalry with my spear units. But in this case, my goal was not actually his sword units. And so some of you might be thinking, Air, what the crap are you thinking, being a moron, running your katana cav right in here? Well, I knew I'd get a little piece of his sword units, but really the idea was to get all of his troops bunched up. I wanted all of his troops real nice and bunched up. Check out this dude. I noticed him earlier. He got launched. Some of these other guys get some pretty good launching too. So now if you'll notice, his troops have locked onto my katana cav. And let's take a look at the more overhead type picture here. Whoops. Wrong way. There we go. Yeah, if you take a look at the more overhead shot, you can see his men starting to bunch in on my katana cav. And that's exactly what I want. So now you're going to see me move up in waves, and I'm going to show this above so that you can see it. My strategy is working exactly as I planned, and I was very pleased. So now I'm going to commit just one more wave of my troops, and this is going to really affix my opponent and get his attention, because now it's not just katana cavalry in the mix. There's also Naginata samurai, and these guys are a pretty good threat, albeit not, like an absolutely lethal one. What my opponent should have done here is he should have been rearranging his swords to the outside to protect his flanks. Because now you're seeing that my opponent is definitely bunched up there. Very bunched up. And Air might just possibly have a secret that my opponent may not know about yet. And you might see such a secret. So here I'm engaging his cavalry to hold them at bay. This is just another Yari Cav unit, and I should win that, or it's a Katana Cav unit. I should win that fight. So here's Air's secret wave. You can see them right here. It's my Kisho Ninja. They've just wheeled up, and the whole reason I wanted my opponent bunched up was for a perfect target for my ninja bombs. So we're going to watch some carnage there. So that's what happens. So now my opponent's troops are going to be demoralized from having been ninja bombed. You can see the kind of chaos that it caused. I mean, it is going to kill some of my own men, but remember that I haven't committed my third wave yet. So now that my ninja are completing the final part of the plan, I've activated the war cry of my monks to further demoralize enemy units. And then I'm going to throw my my second round of ninja bombs in here in just a moment, I believe. So I'll try and go ahead and get zoomed in here. Yeah, for when that happens, there you go. There's the second round of ninja bombs. So that's going to, again, further demoralize my opponent. And the war cry is now active, and I'm going to collapse on his flank. Now you can see my opponent did make one very smart move, which was he's got his general in stand and fight. There's his general. His daimyo's name is Design. And he's also got his bow warrior monks. They've fallen back to a safe position to try and pour archer fire in. And you better believe who they're pouring archer fire down onto. That's right, it is Patchy. And I'm not really quite sure if they're firing at him yet, but my opponent is going to intelligently start shooting at Patchy. Look at that walk there, that walk of confidence. A general who knows that he's a leader, and a general who knows that he's a tactician. That's right, he is Patchy, the one and the only. And now he's going to pull out his stool and tell his troops to stand and fight. Anyway, Patchy looks pretty darn cool. I'm proud of it. It's a sweet mask. Kind of scary. Anyway, so now look, my ninjas who were another wave can now be committed to the fight, and these guys have a vicious melee stats. So I'm going to commit them to the fight now fresh and unscathed, and so they're going to go in and continue the fight. And look, some of my katana cavalry is still alive here in the center, even though they went up against Naginata units. That'll just give you an idea of some of their staying power. Even after all the ninja bombs and everything else, you can see that some of my Naginata samurai are still alive as well. But don't be fooled. My opponent's troops are also in stand and fight, and you're going to be able to see that their morale is still pretty good. You have to remember that these guys' morale is barely faltering, and that's even after they were ninja bombed and war cried and now outflanked. So yeah, my strategy worked very well. But like I said, with the stand and fight, my opponent's general was also a leader general. You can tell that because he has the stand and fight. So his troops are going to have good morale. So this is a grinding match of epic proportions right here. That's why I have it in slow motion, because I just want you to catch all of the action. So you can see all the Naginata troops facing off against each other here. All the stats of my units and his are going to be boosted way up. So this fight, like I said, is going to last a little longer than usual. But let's take a look at what's happening on the flanks, because there's some very critical things taking place. Up here on this flank, he dismounted his Great Guard for some reason. Probably because I guess they were going to end up fighting my Naginata monks, and maybe he thought they'd stand a better chance on foot. So he's dismounted his Great Guard, and there they are fighting my my Naginata warrior monks on foot. And this was mainly just to keep his Great Guard from going after my general, which I believe he did go after Patchy earlier. But yeah, he did go after Patchy right now. But I kept again one unit in reserve, and I was able to defend Patchy from this cavalry charge. And that was a Katana Cav, very dangerous unit to get into your general, even if you have a melee general, which Patchy is not. So, but my Naginata warrior monks are more than a match for these Katana Cav, and you can see them being ripped down there. So Patchy was saved, but he's still in great danger. You can see the arrow fire that he's taking. And one good strategy you can use if you start getting a lot of arrow fire, like this poor unfortunate sap here with all the arrows stuck through him, is you can run your general right behind your own men, which is also in the line of fire of your enemy's own men. So if he starts shooting at Patchy, because Patchy's down low like this, the arc of fire is going to actually start killing some of his own men, and you'll be shielded slightly from his fire. So that is a strategy that you can use. You will still take some fire, as you can see, like this guy dropping here, but it'll definitely protect you to some extent. And also knowing that I need to get these bow warrior monks to quit firing, I've been able to beat the enemy Great Guard unit, and sending his help my way. Hannibal Bonaparte has sent his avatar unit, and some people may think, well, a depleted avatar unit with only 12 men isn't going to do you much good here. Remember that he's got the melee avatar, so yes, this avatar very much could do me a whole lot of good, especially since he's got this unit in Bonsai, it's inspired and rallied. So he inspired his own avatar unit, and this is going to be a very tough unit. So watch what happens. They're going to charge this enemy stand and fight square and completely throw it off. And remember, this is general's units are pretty tough, even if it's just a leader general, but you can see that immediately this general unit's taken 6 casualties, and it's going to quickly go down, and then I'm immediately reinforcing him with my Naginata warrior monks. So we're working together here, and you can see that my wave attack definitely was good. I poured it on wave after wave, and used my ninja bombs and war cry to create the disruption. So definitely worked extremely well, and I was very pleased with the results. However, I do have to say one thing about my strategy that I think would work better, and I think it would work better if I was able to use the war cry and then throw the ninja bombs, because I think that would have had an even more devastating effect on morale. The enemy general is actually in here fighting for his life somewhere. He doesn't end up dying. In fact, the battle ends before my men are able to chase him down, although he nearly gets killed by some of my ninja. Oh, check this guy out. He just got a good Naginata stabbing. If you just look for the giant hat, you might be able to spot his the enemy avatar here. He had the giant gold hat on. Oh, here he is, yep. So here's the enemy avatar now amidst the fray, fighting for his life. Some of the bow warrior monks, they're his own men, but then the Naginata warrior monks are my men. Check out this sweet animation there. My Naginata monk had his Naginata ripped free, and then he was slashed. That was definitely a cool animation. I love watching some of these animations. Check out the 2 warrior monks duking it out right there in the front of the screen. See if these guys take one another down. Yeah, I just love watching some of the one-on-one animations sometimes. There's some pretty good ones. Anyway, this fight's pretty much over. I hope you learned something from the strategy here. Normally you've seen me using a sword army to absolutely mop up my opponents because of my retainers. When you have a leader general, you don't necessarily have to use super veteran troops. As you can see, the only veteran troops that really brought to this battle was a couple of Katana Cav with only 1 chevron. Now you can see a whole bunch of chevrons on my units, and that's just because they've killed so many men in the midst of the fight. Whenever your men are inspired properly, whenever they're microed properly and thrown into the fight at the right place at the right time, you don't necessarily have to have huge veteran troops to get excellent results. Check out my ninjas there. This guy's fast. Check him out. He's going to chase this guy down. See if he can take him out. Oh, stabbed in the throat. Brutal end to what I hope was a good battle. Hope you enjoyed it. I will splice in the results screen. Hope you learned something from Hannibal Bonaparte and I's tactics here. Good games to our opponents. They played well, gave us a tough fight, and hope you enjoyed the video.